Steven, I've got the weight of the world of supporting You Can't Disappoint a Podcast on my shoulders, and I thought maybe, just maybe, to lighten the load on my back, we could give our fellow listeners and enjoyers of You Can't Disappoint a Podcast some ways to help us out. What do you think?
Well, I'm not normally in the habit of lightening the load on your back, but, if people want to help us, they sure can. How can they do that, Zach?
The first way is to support us on Patreon. If you like what we do here and want to help us take it further and get all kinds of extra content, give us money at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
If you don't want to bear the brunt of our debt, you can appreciate the fruit that we bear to you by going and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Yelp, Google Chrome podcast reviewer, or whatever you can. And that's going to help us get seen. And the more people see us, the more that we want to be seen, and the more that we see you.
You can also hang out with us on social media every week over on Facebook, Instagram at Can't Disappoint Podcast, and Twitter at You Can't Disapod. Also, go ahead and give a subscribe and thumbs up to our YouTube channel, where we also post the podcast every week.
If you want to hold our hands as we walk down this community memory lane, you should shoot us an email over at can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us your MVP, your favorite funniest moment, and trivia for the episode we're about to record, and we'll read it live on the air.
Yeah, we don't do the show live, but nice try, buddy. Thanks for supporting us, and let's get into this week's podcast.
There's only one explanation. I belittled my father's good name for a prank, and his ghost has returned to scold me, and probably butcher you guys for going along with it.
You think hiding in this room is gonna keep you safe?
Ghosts can't go through doors, stupid. They're not fire.
I find it very season 4 of us that we're doing this Halloween episode today. It is December 2nd, 2021 that we're recording this. I'm not very much in the spooky spirit at all, I must admit.
Ooh, the scariest day is the one you don't expect.
And it's even more season 4, so I'll bring it up again later, but these episodes that we're talking about didn't air anywhere near Halloween. This episode aired on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
It aired the February after the October it was supposed to, so it feels very connected to be doing this episode when we're doing it.
We're just trying to stay true to the source material, Zach.
Welcome to You Can't Disappoint a Podcast, everyone. We're glad you're here. I hope you made it okay. I hope you found a good place to park. I hope your family is well. Steven, how are you?
I'm doing well.
I guess we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah, go for it. He
Pretend
doesn't
to care about you for this segment of the podcast just because it's part of the format. I have to, Steven, how are you? Then I zone out for 15 to 30 seconds, and then... So this week... Hi, I'm Zach, and I'm here to help heal your heart hole.
Aw. Hi, I'm Steven, and aha! But not aha that your dad is dead. Just aha.
My dad's not dead.
Well, that's why.
As far as I know, at least, I guess.
Have you called him lately, Zach?
Speaking of our dad, let's start off the top of the show before we'll say hi to our patrons in a second, but the man, the myth, the legend, our community papa at communities on Twitter. He's not dead. He's very much alive. He's very much a part of our lives, and he's very much our biological father. We love the man, and I haven't called him in a while.
Well, I interacted with him on the Twitter sphere recently because he's been posting a lot of community trivia with the hashtag WinDevilDean, and I want to win that terrifying piece of memorabilia.
What are you talking about?
There have been some images surfacing on the internet that there could be something that's been teased. Did he post it? A picture?
Yeah, it's been posted. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember it was secret at first. We got the inside scoop because he's our pops.
Right.
But there's this
it's part of our birthright.
made custom Funko Pop. That's the Dean in his Lady Gaga devil costume.
And you're trying to win it.
I want to win it. I don't know if I can win it because I'm his son.
Yeah.
But he doesn't think of me that
want
way.
A chance. Right. So I think in this.
Yeah,
instant.
And I don't know if you have to get all the trivia correct because there's no way that'll happen. But I've answered a few.
I hadn't even seen the questions. What did you have to answer?
It was like what character is in every episode, but talks in every episode but one.
Oh, yeah. Which
Like
is Jeff and Annie.
Just Britta.
Jeff and Annie are in and speak in every episode.
Yeah, I said talks in every episode but one. Chose the wrong time to tune out. Yeah.
Okay. Britta doesn't talk. And
what
Abed
season
doesn't
did the
appear in every
Dean
episode.
become a season regular?
3.
Or series regular? Yeah, I got that one.
I'm really glad that you know the answer to some of these, and you're like, yeah, I knew that. We talk about this shit.
That's
every
why I know.
Week.
There are some other ones too, but there were so many questions, and I'm just not on it enough. You know what the problem is? I don't have Pop's notifications turned on.
Well, shout out to the Pops. You got to put those notifications on because one of these days he's
Slap
gonna be
that
calling
like
out
button,
for,
ring the bell to get
for
notifications.
a son to come to his side, and we'll never know that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks, Dad, for all the support, for sharing our show every week, and for keeping the community fandom thriving. We love you for it. And shout out to our patrons over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. It's a new month, December. At the beginning of the month is a great time to sign up for Patreon because no matter when you sign up, the next month they'll charge you at the beginning of the month. So it's good to start at the beginning of the month. And we've always got all kinds of stuff going on over there at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. And we want to give a special shout out to Mary Baker Budisa, Brian Thurman, Danny M. Lugo, and Taylor Ace. All people we love very much.
Thanks, guys. If you want to have your name read like those superstars, become a patron over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. Is that it? Is that the right?
Yeah, that was it. You got it.
Wow, nice. It's always
There's only like 2 variations. It's literally everything is that, and then our Twitter is something else. But yet it still seems to be a struggle for you to remember.
Every time I'm worried about what it will be.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Steven and I took a little bit of a recording break for Thanksgiving, so it's been 2 weeks since we've recorded, and we're shaking off the rust a little bit. And I don't know, man. Now I'll let me get into character. So how are you? How have you been these last 2 weeks that we haven't been talking at all, or I haven't even thought of you for the last 14 days?
It was good, Zach. It was a lot of traveling, doing things. I went to my first Bulls game here in Chicago.
Oh yeah, that looked really fun.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a really good time. There were some like seriously yummy nachos there.
Nice. What made them special?
There was just a lot. It was like chicken tinga nachos with like jalapenos.
Oh, so like really decked up nachos, not just like your typical ballpark.
I was impressed.
Movie
I have to say,
theater
I've
type
been to a Bears game and a Bulls game pretty recently.
Okay.
The Bears game, I ended up getting like really nice tickets that were like on the 50-yard line, really close.
Cool.
But it was a chilly day outside, so that does kind of factor in. But it was a good game, but the Bears lost. And I'll say the food there was good because it was like a football game. Woo, hot dogs.
Yeah.
And beer. And the
Like
beer
classics.
was colder because it was cold,
Okay.
But at the United Center, the food was a little bit better, I will say. And it was indoors, but my seats were not anywhere near as good. And the beer wasn't quite as cold because you were inside. But overall, really good experiences at both. I recommend it to anyone who likes going to sports games. And they're at the United Center, you have to show either a vaccination card or a proof of negative test to get in, and that's pretty darn cool.
Are you seeing that in other places in Chicago too, or is it mainly just like the big touristy
Mainly
stops?
at like concerts and like sports games.
I think that's good. I like that.
I think so too. It makes me feel a lot better being at these places with so many people there.
Yeah.
That everyone there at least, like at the very least, either tested negative for COVID or has the
been
funds
vaccinated.
and means to go get a fake vaccine. Yeah, has been vaccinated. People on the internet are like, oh, it's so easy to go get a fake one. I've never been offered a fake one. Nor
I feel like
have
it's way easier to get vaccinated and to get one.
And cheaper. Just go do it.
Yeah, just go do it. Thanksgiving was good. It was another small one.
Zach, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good time? Sorry for not asking.
As a podcaster, I can just start talking about myself and it's accepted. So I could really run this thing without you, Steven, if you just want.
You don't need to be prompted.
Well, since people, I know that you think otherwise, but since people don't see the video of us recording this, they won't know that Steven leaves for 20-minute portions of the podcast.
I do.
To go catch up and watch the episode real quick. And I just throw in some yeahs and some and some absolutelys.
And that's me. And that's your show, folks. Thanks for joining us on this spooky
Yeah, my Thanksgiving
edition.
was good. We didn't see everybody this year, but food was always great. I saw more friends this year. It was really fun. And I love having a partner that now Lily and I have done this like 3 times together, and it's fun to build those types of new traditions with each other. But I did want to mention the movie that we watched last night because it's kind of stuck with me today. We just watched Tick, Tick, Boom on Netflix.
Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Yes, Clifford the Big Red Dog changed me. No, we watched Tick, Tick, Boom on Netflix, and I highly suggest that you go check it out. Even if you're not a fan of musicals, even if you don't know anything about the story of it, it's really good. It's really relatable. And it's the story of the Broadway writer who went on to write Rent and who also went on to die at 35 right before Rent opened and changed the world. And that's not really what the movie's about, and I think it's the better for it. But it makes it all the more poignant because the movie is about Jonathan Larson at 30 trying to write this big musical or like finish this big musical before a workshop performance of it that's supposed to like change his career. And that show ended up not being produced ever and being kind of shelved. And the movie, like Tick, Tick, Boom, is about how he writes all these songs about just feeling this sense of like time is ticking and ticking, and at the end it blows up, and like there's only so much time that you have. And he, in the movie, he's about to turn 30, and it's about like him, all of the great artists have done so many things before they turn 30, and him feeling like he has to finish this big thing before he turns 30. And when you add that to the knowledge that he only had 5 years left, and in that 5 years he wrote like the Broadway musical of all time in a way. And another thing, there's a layer of the movie, there's a big connection with Stephen Sondheim to the movie. Mm-hmm. And Stephen Sondheim, who is probably the greatest, I've never really gone on big musical theater rants. For people who don't know, I'm a big musical theater guy. I just don't talk about it that much. Stephen Sondheim's probably the musical theater god. He's like the musical theater Shakespeare. He is the
Sin
best.
in the Clowns, which I know is not like his best song or anything, is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Sweeney Todd, the West Side Story. So many classics that he has written the music for, and so many songs that you know without knowing musical theater that are Sondheim. He just passed away. He was 91. He was a huge inspiration, and he like was a mentor to Jonathan Larson. When Jonathan Larson was younger, he was Stephen Sondheim like found him and was like the person who was like working with him to like make his stuff better. And so the movie has this not only about this artist that died too young, but it also has this connection to an artist who we just lost. Mm-hmm. And there's even a voice cameo from the actual Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, wow.
It just was, I don't know. It's a really great movie. It's made me feel a lot of things about being creative and just about being alive in general. And I totally suggest you go watch it. Really good. Good stuff. Good times.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out.
That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about something that I can't praise as much as Tick, Tick, Boom. We're here to talk about the next episode of this television program that we love so much, Community. We're talking about Season 4, Episode 2, Paranormal Parentage. It's Season 4, Episode 2. Our journey continues. We're going to see how this goes. Last week was rocky. It was a bit of a mess.
It was not the best episode of television we'd ever watched.
No. And it was no. That's putting it lightly.
It was not great.
I know you liked it more than I did, but
yeah,
saying it wasn't the best episode of television we've ever watched is putting it lightly.
Now I will say I think that this week is an improvement from last week.
I will say that. Sure. And we're going to get all into it. It's Paranormal Parentage. It was directed by Tristram Shapiro. He also directed last week's episode. I think he has the most directing credits of the entire series. He's a great man. It was also written by the great Megan Gans, who previously wrote Cooperative Calligraphy, Intermediate Documentary Filmmaking Redux, Basic Lupine Urology, some really, really heavy hitters. Yeah. And then after this, she only writes one more episode, unfortunately, which is the Season 4 finale, Advanced Introduction to Finality. And the episode originally aired on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2013.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day, Zach.
Happy I even remember when they aired this episode, because the season was supposed to premiere in October, and it didn't, which meant October 19th. And then they pushed it back to the beginning of February the following year. And this episode, they tried to like make it work. And I remember they had, you know how TV shows will have like themed hashtags that showed on the screen throughout? This was still kind of the beginning of it when they'd make whole like graphics out of it and stuff. And I think they tried to make like hashtag like Halloween happen. I don't think it happened. I don't know. But yeah, the episode premiered on Valentine's Day, which is very strange. Let's do some trivia. Let's see what we learned from this week's episode. I've got
a spooky episode of trivia, Zach.
A creepy crawly trivia. What's that creepy crawly flavor of Actrivia that we're sponsored by today?
Let's see. Ooh,
I've got one too.
This is Unblessed Soil. It's interesting. It's
earthy.
Got actual maggots in it. That's a bold take. Protein. It kind of tastes like that great aunt that passed away that you never met. That's kind of the
taste
vibe
I
I'm
know
getting
all
from this
too
one.
well. Yeah, mine. It's funny you say maggots. There's kind of a continued. What? I'm bad at words sometimes. It's kind of a connective tissue here to your flavor. So I've got a cup full of spiders.
Ah! My nightmare.
Just crunchy spider legs.
Yikes.
In a vanilla Greek yogurt.
Nothing scares me more than that concept. I will ask that not be sent to me. I appreciate our sponsors over at Actrivia.
Yes.
But... yeah.
Find us at the back of the Jonesville Rite Aid, where we'll be selling all these creepy crawly flavors all December.
Yeah, come find us. Take a picture and post the hashtag #CreepyCrawlGurt, and you can be entered in a chance to win one free case of a flavor of your choosing.
No, they don't get to choose.
While supplies
a flavor of our choosing. We hope you like shards of glass. We got so much of it to get rid of. I've got 4 questions.
I've got 5.
Okay, go ahead.
What coincided with Pierce's purchase of his panic room?
The theatrical release of Do the Right Thing.
Nice. Correct.
What round is Ring Girl Dean announcing the start of?
Ooh. 4?
No, it's round 1.
Round 1. Dang. I thought it was tripping me up.
I'm gonna get him.
Under what circumstances does not taking Abed out of your sight go double?
That's one of my questions. Haunted houses and wax museums.
Wrong.
Whoa, what?
I thought you said holidays in wax museums.
We'll find out. Maybe I am wrong.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Oh, we'll find out.
You know damn well we'll have forgotten by the time we get to that part of the episode.
I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
What is the panic room code?
I don't know. It's like 119 something.
Not quite, but I'm going to give you another go. You said something that was correct.
Was it just the 1?
Maybe.
I don't know it. Another go. That was the best I had. It's not going to get better if I...
1989 was the code.
Okay.
How many do you have left?
1989.
The release of Do the Right Thing.
Same date.
Mm-hmm.
He was really worried about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 2 left. How many stops are on the guided tour Troy had to learn before moving into Hawthorne Manor?
39?
27.
Ah. Ooh.
You idiot.
I know. What is spray painted on the portrait of Pierce's dad in the main foyer?
Liar.
Yes, correct.
And I like how they never call attention to it or explain it. Like,
No.
was it vandalized by someone else? Was it originally
Pierce?
made that way? Did Pierce do it? I'm sure Pierce did it since his dad has passed away. But
Well, who do you think put the picture of Gilbert in the family portrait? Was that Gilbert? Or
that
Pierce?
was. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But that was some of the worst Photoshop I have ever seen.
I thought it was supposed to be that they like taped a picture to it.
Maybe. But not just that. Already the way that they edited young Chevy and the dad and a weird lady.
I just assumed those were just pictures that he had around his house already that he used for the show.
What does Britta find that Pierce keeps by his bed?
His father's bow tie.
Correct. That was the last of my questions.
I've got one more for you. What are Shirley's family's costumes?
Okay, so Andre is Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Ben is an Ewok.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the other kids were, though. You don't remember either.
No, I do know. I was waiting. I was seeing if you're going to get it.
Oh,
Team
wait,
up?
it's your question. I'm already
Yeah.
thinking ahead to the next thing. When we're doing other people's questions. I don't think I know the other two.
So you did a good job.
I know,
you
but I
didn't
didn't
say
know
that
the
Shirley
two
was
kids.
Leia, but that's a given.
Yeah, that is a given.
Andre is Han Solo. The boys were stormtroopers.
Okay.
And Baby Ben was an Ewok.
So now let's see what we were emailed in by our lovely fans this week. I think we've got a couple of slips of paper in the bag.
We do. Let me just ruffle around in my big old paper sack here. Okay, first one. Oh, this is from Danny, one of
Hello.
our patrons. She said, and
Big
my
fan.
girlfriend. She said, "Hello, Steven and Zach. Hope
Hi.
you're having a lovely day so far.
Yeah.
Just wanted to send this because I haven't sent anything in so long, but I still love listening to you guys every week.
I wasn't
Even
gonna
though
bring
my
it up.
Thursdays are somehow crazy busy now, I'll do my best to send trivia the night before or
Aw.
something from now on. Not today though. Wow, thanks.
Today we
Sorry.
got the or
haha.
something.
Yeah. Anyway, I haven't seen this episode in a while, but I don't remember it being nearly as bad as History 101. Yikes to Greendale Babies. I've had the song stuck in my head the past 2 days and randomly sing it. It's true, not happy about it. Wishing you the best of times during holiday season. Big hugs, Danny. Well, thanks, Danny, for writing
It's Danny.
in next
It is
time.
Danny, right? I didn't quite. Is it Danny?
Danny.
Very nice to meet you. So glad you're a fan. Get well soon.
Our next email is from someone who may be even dearer to our hearts and especially closer to our loins. Our proud papa, Communities, Matt at Communities over on Twitter. He says, "Hi guys, this might be my favorite episode of season 4. It hits all the right notes and there's very little Changnesia. To that,
true.
my MVP is Britta. Everything she says and does in the ham costume just sticks the landing.
Okay.
Have fun, guys. Communities, Matt." Okay, favorite episode of season 4. That's
It's
I mean,
too
it's not like-
early, and it's been too long since I've dove into it for me to be able to really, truly react to that yet.
from the top of my head. I think it could be in my top 3 potentially.
Okay.
Trivia. What is Abed's third favorite show? That's watching Annie watch
Yeah.
Cougar Town reruns. When
just
did
fall
Pierce
into it.
buy the
Clink.
Panic Room?
1989. I don't remember. Do you remember the date?
I don't. It was 1989. Was it like July? Something?
I just remember Troy saying it took me so long to realize the date,
Yeah, I
or it
remember
took me
that
so
date.
long to remember it. I don't remember.
And then why is Jeff initially uncomfortable exploring the house for Pierce's security code?
Is it just because he thinks Pierce is lying, or is it something more specific?
I don't know.
Because, like, I also remember when they walk into one room, he's like, "Oh, I've got so much exposed skin."
Yeah, that's like when he goes into Pierce's bedroom. Is that what he means?
I don't know.
He's like, ooh, too much. Yeah. Let's see the answers here. Answers.
see.
Number 1, we were correct. Watching Annie watch Cougar Town reruns. The date of the Panic Room was June 30th, 1989. So I'm going to give that one to us. Because I said July.
I like to err on the side of us just getting stuff
Yeah.
right for trying.
And then, you know what, Zach? He absolutely did mean that, because the answer to number 3 is he has so much exposed skin.
there you go. I'll
Perfect
take it.
3 for 3 for us there.
Thanks, Poppy.
We're the Trivia Kings. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
And
so
thank
that
you
means
again to our
tonight
sponsor,
he has to
Trivia.
tuck us into bed.
Exactly.
We have this little thing going that when we get most questions right, he has to give us a little tuck in, and when we don't, we get a little punishment.
Yeah, you know, and I'm a little old to be going out to pick my own Switch now. You know,
that's my favorite part, I gotta say.
Well, I never pick right, but it's kind of on purpose, you know. If I pick wrong, he picks too.
See, I just start with a tree branch. Man.
Thanks for writing in, Dad.
All right, it's time to move on to Did Steven
watch
the episode
this week?
I'm not even going to say shit. You know what it is. You know what time it is. You know what you got to do. How you feeling? Are you ready, buddy?
Oh, boy. I'm going to do my best.
All right. It's time for Very Spooky. 3, 2, 1, go.
Whoa, it's Halloween, and Vicky's having a party, but Pierce isn't invited for obvious reasons. Pierce is stuck in his panic room. They have to come help him, so they all go to help. Pierce is in the room. He's like, oh, I can't remember the code, so they have to look around the house for the code. They split up like Scooby-Doo. Jeff and Britta talk about his daddy issues in Pierce's bedroom. Annie goes with Abed, but she loses him because he goes behind the cabinet.
You got too lost on it.
I did. I got like 5%.
You did a really good start. I wouldn't say 5%. I'd say closer to 50%. You just didn't get the ending.
I didn't.
That you said they were all. You could have really. Okay, I don't know.
Skipped
I don't know.
Stuff.
I'm not gonna tell you what you could have done. I'm gonna grade what you did do. What do you remember off the top of your head? What I said last week? You did like a C job.
Last week I got like a C.
C plus maybe. I think this one's maybe just a straight C.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not offended by it, but I'm certainly not impressed by it.
Yeah. I really did start well, but I did not finish super great. So C is fair. Thank you, Zachary.
You're so welcome. The other thing we've got to get out of the way.
Thank you, Thackeray Binks. Thackeray Binks.
Is that the thing from Hocus Pocus, the cat?
Yeah.
I've seen that film once.
Oh, it's good. You should watch it. I like that
I've seen it once, is what I just said.
Yeah, watch it again.
But I watched it for the first time as an adult, so I did not find it to be that great of a film. I saw it in the movie theater. They were playing it in a movie theater, and I'd never seen it. So we went to see it, and I was very bored. I'll probably watch the second one when they do it,
It's too long.
Let's talk about our favorite funny moments from this episode. I will tell you right up front, I do not think this is a very funny episode. I don't think it's a particularly bad episode. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But I don't think it's really that funny either. They're kind of the same as last week. There are more things that make me, like, quiet laugh or just, like, appreciate that it's a decent joke than stuff that really made me laugh out loud like Community did before. So what I wrote down was I do like the first reveal of Annie as the ring girl. I think that's pretty funny, the way that they shot that and the way that she hops up, and I don't know. I thought Allison sold that well. And the other thing was when they're all screaming at one point and Troy makes a big deal about, oh, I broke the remote. Do you think it's expensive?
Yeah, that was funny.
That made me laugh too. What about you?
I thought that the Dean coming as the ring girl, I had forgotten about that, so that was pretty funny for the. It's not my favorite Dean costume, but I liked it. I think the aha about your dad's dead, that's always, winning joke. I just enjoyed Britta in the ham costume in general.
Yeah, that's true. Britta gets some pretty funny moments.
And that's probably it as far as, like, funny moments go. I think Troy was cute in this episode. I liked Abed, too.
I want to say,
but
I wrote down a least favorite funny moment, too.
Oh, what was it? Was it one of Jeff's?
Yes, there was something that Jeff said in this episode that I thought was so horribly unfunny.
There were like 2 or 3 jokes.
It sounded like
bad.
It needed a laugh track after it. When he says, and that's Abed Nadir with the late report. When he tells them something. That made me... I watched it with Lily last night and I was like,
that wasn't even my least favorite one. That
me?
was in my 3 that were pretty bad.
Well, then you give me one since I brought one up if you remember.
I'm trying to think of... I don't remember exactly what the joke is. I'll point it out when we get to it in the episode, but every time I was like, oh.
What did you think of the episode this week? I think you're a little bit higher on it, so you started off.
I am. So we've discussed a lot, especially recently, that I am not a big fan of Season 3's Halloween episode, and I've said that I like this one better.
But you said it was some space behind it, but from when you had seen it last.
Yeah. Watching this again, I still stand by that. I don't like this one as much as I remembered it. It has some things that lose some points for me. If I'm only looking at the positives, though, I do enjoy the episode. I think there's some funny stuff in it. I just think it feels kind of not even half-baked because they had the whole idea. It's just nothing really comes of it, and then there's like the suspense is supposed to be like, I don't know. I think that they had an idea of what they wanted to do here, but it doesn't come out maybe as well as they hoped. But I still like it better than the first episode of this season by at least a few points.
Well, that's true. It's miles better than the first one. I think what my problem is, and it's kind of similar to the issue that we had last week with the Hunger Deans, but not anywhere near as offensive as that was. It feels like, I don't know, it just feels like they're a little more unsure of the homage that they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a Scooby-Doo episode, but if Community was doing a Scooby-Doo episode, it would have been a lot more Scooby-Doo than this.
Well, because you would have gotten to use Troy and Abed together more. Yeah.
I just feel like they were throwing so much at the wall, both with the haunted house aspect of it and the Pierce's mansion aspect of it. They threw so much at the wall that so little of it stuck, where I think if they had been a little bit more assured in what they were trying to do with it, it wouldn't, the stuff at the end, like the resolution of the story being typical, wouldn't have been as offensive. Or not offensive, I'm using that word a little too much. It wouldn't have been as standout that the ending was kind of dumb if the style was like Epidemiology or other episodes they've done. I don't know. This is the only Halloween episode of Community that to me doesn't feel like an event episode, like a special episode. This one just kind of feels like another episode that happens to kind of have a Halloween
I'll
edge
agree
to it.
with that. Yeah, I definitely will second that. I think that they, like you were saying, it just doesn't feel as committed. Epidemiology is 100% committed. Even the season 3 one is, even though it's not my favorite, they're 100% committed in those stories and to the thing they're doing. This one is kind of like,
I feel like the writers' room were like, okay, zombies and the military, the virus outbreak thing. Let's throw all the jokes we have at that. But on this one, it's like they were like, okay, let's do haunted house and Pierce's house. They kind of scratch their head. Let's have them split off like Scooby-Doo and do like, and they don't even do a classic like the Rooms thing.
No.
Like a Scooby-Doo sequence where they're like chasing the bad guy around a room or whatever.
Through the doors.
I feel like
there was no chase.
And then they were like, let's kind of make it Clue and do this like map aspect that doesn't really have much to do with it either. I don't know.
It kind of comes in at a weird time in the episode and is used like 2 or 3 more times, but it's,
But let's see if I can think of some positives though. I do like Troy a lot more in this episode. I thought Troy was really out of character last week, and this week there were quite a few moments. There were a few kind of weird line deliveries from Donald, I thought, but there were a lot more that felt like classic Troy. Same with Britta. I thought Britta was really great, and the tiny bit of Troy and Britta in this episode at least made me laugh a little bit more than what last week's did. I think Jeff has some really annoying lines in this one, but his arc in this episode is pretty good.
Yeah.
I just think there isn't a lot of this episode that sticks with me that stands out as I don't know. Let's dive into it and see if we can put the nail into
this
the
one
hole.
is also like a kind of a Pierce episode, but it's not a Pierce episode because he's in it like a couple times by himself.
I would say it's absolutely not a Pierce episode. And that's to the detriment of this, that they look, it's at the point. We'll talk about it. It's at the point where this show needs to lose Pierce.
Yeah.
Like, Pierce is bringing the show down by how flippant Chevy is to the show. Chevy doesn't even seem like he's in any type of character when he appears in this episode. Like, way more than even last week or usual. It just feels like he's reading the lines off a page, and so they put him so little into it, but because it's a Pierce's haunted house episode, and he's supposed to be the ringleader, if we had a season 2 performance from Chevy at the very least, that could have been really cool. But instead, there's just nothing from him, so the writers kind of do the work for him in other ways, and that makes it all not stick very well. This would have been a great way to bring Pierce a little bit back as a villain. I don't know. Let's start from the beginning. The scene in the beginning is at least good. A pretty classic start off. I really like the return to costumes this year.
I do too.
The season 3 special feels weird, at least because we don't really get any costumes. Everyone's got a costume. What do you think of them all? What are your favorites?
I enjoy them. I like the Calvin and Hobbes. Abed's wig is great. The ham is great. Shirley's adorable as Leia. Annie's is fantastic as the ring. Jeff is actually probably the weak link of the costumes, but
that's to be expected.
Yeah,
he's the guy who showed up like as a cowboy or
exactly
as David Beckham, I think was what he did.
But I do enjoy all the costumes, and I think that everyone looks good as always. Troy's adorable as the tiger.
Something that actually is a really great community that I loved is when Jeff just looks at Britta and says ham, and Britta says pig. Like real defensively. I thought that was really funny. A couple of asides from the commentary about the costumes. The ham was originally, because it doesn't really look like a ham. Hams aren't tan like that. But I guess
like turkey,
it was really pink when they first got it, and it really looked like balls. So Megan Gans said something about like going to the costume people and was like, if you don't make this thing brown by like Monday, we have to write a bunch of balls jokes into the episode just to make this make sense.
That's really funny.
And also she said, Megan Gans is really funny. She was really funny on the commentary for this one. She said for the Calvin and Hobbes that they literally had to write in the script, and to the costume people, it was like generic boy and tiger, which is totally what it is.
Yeah.
Ahmed's wig looks like David Bowie. But I really love that costume, but it's clear that, they can't just do Calvin and Hobbes because Calvin and Hobbes are a huge property. They'd have to pay all kinds of money just to have them dress up. I thought that's all really funny.
It's really great.
I wonder if they did have to pay for Ring Girl then. You know what I mean? I wonder
yeah, because that's like a pretty... Because they reference the ring, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, Alison Brie does a great job with that creepy crawl.
Pretty freaky deaky, huh? I like the turn from the weird crawl to Annie's cuteness because she's proud of herself and she thought she did the right thing. This is a little bit too silly of a comedy of errors for Community, but it is kind of funny just for the visual of it. Allison said on the commentary that for that part where she crawls, that they filmed it like it's footage. She filmed it going backwards, and they played it her going forward,
so it looks creepier.
which is what they do in movies like that, and it was a cool effect.
That's wild.
You mentioned liking the Dean showing up a little bit later as a ring girl. I don't like that very much. I think stuff like that is the reason why they went too far with the Dean in season 4, kind of like they went really too far with him last week, and why in seasons 5 and 6 they were like, okay, we've kind of got to ditch all the costumes now and make this character something more than that. Because like, what? How did Craig? Come on, did he know about Jeff's costume somehow? Has he been like spying on him?
I could see. Well, yeah, they're neighbors now.
Another bit in the beginning of this episode that I
they're
like.
Neighbors now.
I know that they're neighbors now, but the show doesn't even. Oh, okay. They are neighbors now. They are. So you think he is spying on him?
I think that Craig waited to see what Jeff either walked in or out of his apartment
through his
with.
peephole.
Yeah, and then was like, "Oh, perfect!
those
I have
gloves.
one for this."
Okay, sure. I don't know. I just think it's, again, like last week, it's look at effeminate, flamboyant man that dresses like a woman to impress attractive man, and not like there's some deep emotional issues going on with the Dean, and this is how he copes with it. You know, there's no sense of the like, I have to go to the bank today. What am I going to do? Tell them I had good news? You know what I mean? There's no sense of like, Craig is a real person, kind of. He just like is there to be this visual joke.
Sure.
Another bit of dialogue that I liked in the beginning of this episode was Troy talking about what Britta and he do and don't do.
Yeah.
Just the way that he says, oh, I mean, we do things, not everything. Things. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, me too.
Something that I guess I'll bring up though, just like we are typically doing Chevy Watch, I want to do a little. What's our Britta and Troy ship name? Are they Broy? Are they Tritta?
I'm a certified Tritta. I think I like Broy better.
Okay, so let's do a little Broy watch.
Broy sauce.
You know what I don't like about them or those characters and how they relate to each other in this episode? I don't like the idea that Troy is like a child.
Yeah.
That can't be having sex. and that Shirley can like scold him for doing adult things.
Yeah, I don't like that either, and I don't really understand why.
And
Troy
that
is like
Britta
an
kind of
adult.
also treats him, her boyfriend, kind of naive, like stepping over. Yeah, I feel like the whole idea was that Troy's become an adult now, and he's become a man, and he's regressed in this season. I do like him better in this episode, but it's a regression.
Here's what I will say on the Britta front, not to say that it totally makes sense. As somebody who at around Troy's age in the show, maybe a little younger, a little bit younger and at Troy's age in the show, was dating someone who was probably close to or around Britta's age in the show. There definitely can be times where you're talked down to a little bit or treated in that sort of way.
Is there age difference that significant?
Britta's, like, Troy's like 21, 22.
And I would say Britta's like 26.
I'd say she's probably closer to like 27, 28.
I think Britta might be a little bit younger than that. I don't know. We don't know. I don't think they tell us explicitly. But go ahead, finish your point.
But I think that dynamic doesn't push it as much for me into the realm of why is that happening. But the Shirley one definitely is not. Even if she sees him as a maternal figure, that's still weird for her to be controlling or scolding him for his sex life.
That is a good point. I will give you that. But I don't think the show is doing that on purpose.
Everything's intentional, Zach.
I don't think the show has any...
Every letter on that chalkboard back there means something.
Well, a lot of times they do have stuff written on the chalkboard. I can't really tell. Not to let your friends do... I don't know. I can't really see all of it. But, I don't think... That's a good concept. If they had dove into that a little bit... Britta being like a lot of firsts for Troy or something like that could have been interesting, but the show doesn't. They just kind of treat Troy like a little kid. And I think that's the wrong move.
Yeah, I agree.
So they're all going to Vicky's Halloween party, another episode where we mention a side character and we never see that side character, which I thought was kind of interesting. They're getting ready to go to this party. And while they're all talking about it, getting ready, I thought, again, the little aside between Abed and Annie about Cougar Town seems less like Community being Community and Community saying, remember Community? Abed likes Cougar Town. Let's just talk about Cougar Town. There's no real joke there.
I didn't mind that one.
Okay, that's fine.
Because, and Annie, the little clink, the joke is that she's in it now.
Yeah, that's
fine. That's
fine.
the joke, Merlot. They drink a lot of wine.
They get interrupted, and they're not going to be able to go straight to the party like they thought because Pierce called Troy, and he's locked in his panic room. Everyone wants to go help him because they're decent people, and Jeff, of course, knows what's going on right away. Pierce is fake shit like this so many times. It's going to be fake. What do you think about this as a setup?
It's fine. I think that it's realistic that Pierce would do this. Call them and be like, I need help, somebody, just for attention. And I also think it's realistic that most of them would want to go and not Jeff. I think something that I noticed a lot in this time watching through that I don't think I really cared about before was that Britta is also aware the whole time that Pierce is probably faking. She doesn't seem to believe it either.
She just wants to get to Pierce to like therapize him and talk about why he's doing this. Yeah. Another thing that this episode could have gone in on that a little bit more. And it would have been interesting if Pierce was like more actively a part of the episode or of the show. Yeah. There's a little funny bit of Britta acting in the ham costume. I just like Gillian Jacobs does such funny facial expressions and body movements, and seeing her do it in the ham costume is pretty funny. I don't know if it is still, but for the longest time, that ham costume was up for auction on eBay. I know we've talked about it on here before. I really want that. I don't really want that, but I kind of want someone to. I want that. I'd love to see it in person.
I think it'd be fun to have as a hey.
But it'd also be like they'd be like, "What's that 6-foot mascot costume?" Oh,
like,
I spent $6,000 on it. It's a costume from a not great episode of a TV show that I really like. Oh, cool.
Nice.
Are you gonna wear it for
Is
Halloween?
It signed?
No, don't touch it. Don't go near it. Maybe you shouldn't even look at it. Oh yeah. I think the ham costume is great, and I hope somebody does buy it and gives it the second life that it deserves.
Oh yeah.
One of my biggest problems with this episode, this kind of does feel a little bit like the guy who told us that when we try to rewrite Community, we just make them do things that they've done again. Mm-hmm. This episode has a lot of stuff that we've seen before, even if it's in a context that we haven't seen before. We've seen Pierce lying to the study group to get something out of them in the documentary episode. We've seen Gilbert being like the shadowy figure that's pulling these strings 5 or so episodes ago. Yeah. It's a little of a copycat episode, and it feels like the story is just an excuse to do the haunted house in Pierce's mansion idea. Instead of before, I feel like they had to have the story behind it, or else what was the point of doing the thing that they were housing it in? I don't know.
Yeah, it is a lot of things that we've seen before, which is not my favorite thing in the world, but I do like the intro.
I like the intro too. I think this is the first time that they did spooky music over the intro too, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
I think some of these title cards we've seen before. I don't remember if we saw the Jim Rash one last time or not, though.
I don't think we saw the Jim Rash, no.
So now we're at
maybe
Pierce's
because
mansion.
he was on the title card in season 3.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. After the cool theme song, we see an exterior shot of Pierce's mansion. I think it's the only time we see an exterior, and it just straight up doesn't look like what the insides are supposed to be. Let's talk about...
It looks like the Haunted Mansion. The inside looks like the set that they use for the for like the lounge out next to the cafeteria.
Steven, that's what it is. Well, I don't know, like to that extent.
But
on the commentary,
looks the same.
They said that the hallways and stuff here are the Greendale hallways that they stripped and repainted and added new stuff to it. And then when they're done with this episode, they do it again and build it back to the Greendale hallways.
You can tell.
Literally what it is. You can tell. They did the best that they could. It's because the show doesn't have this huge budget to just be building sets or going to different locations and dressing them up for an episode like this. This show did not have a lot of money at this point in its run. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the design of the house and how it's haunted and how it... I don't know. We've heard so much about Pierce's mansion. This is the first time that we finally see it. And it's in the context of this like creepy haunted house escapade.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, it's not like the lavish palace that we were kind of led to believe that it was. It's very much like an 80s big place with a lot of rooms.
Like Jeff says, like David Lee Roth threw up Miami Vice. It is very Miami Vice. There's that family portrait behind Annie. She's talking when they look around. It's such a bad Photoshop. It does look like someone's taped a picture of Gilbert onto a family portrait where they've imposed Chevy kind of from like the late 70s, early 80s or something, and just some random ass lady who's supposed to be Pierce's mom. It's some pretty bad Photoshop.
It's not great.
It's not great. Annie gives a lot of exposition. Like, these friends were all there, and she's like, but didn't he lose this in the video game battle where he lost his inheritance to Gilbert, who turned out to be an illegitimate half-brother he never knew he had? They were all there.
Everyone was there.
Troy opens up like a panel in the wall behind a picture that ends up being the entrance into Pierce's panic room, where they become able to communicate with him through a video screen. There was some good Troy stuff in this. I like the little details that we get into what it was like for Troy to live here, because he did for a while. That's something that feels like them building off the history of the show into a detail that's pretty funny, that Troy had to memorize this routine for a tour of the home that he never gave because there were never any visitors.
Which I'm sure Pierce like posed it. He's like, all right, before you can move in, you got to know all the things so that when we have all of our people coming for tours.
It's funny because you would think that as often as these people hang out at like Troy and Abed's place, that Pierce would be like, we can party in my mansion sometime.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, no, we're going to go hang out in the safe space of Troy and Abed's
this little apartment, yeah.
They bring up Pierce on a video screen, and I would love to be able to watch these episodes without any knowledge of anything about the show. Because it's impossible to judge them without, and to look at the episodes closely without like putting that perspective into it.
It is.
So Pierce only shows up in this episode mainly through a video screen and then in the end of the episode. And they said on the commentary that last scene, that was like day 1 of shooting. So they did all of that on day 1. And then the rest of the episode, I'm sure they did without Chevy. It's interesting.
It's such a bad sign if you just can't, like, shoot your cast together. Like, I feel like this has been going on for a while now, and I'm honestly surprised it took so long to get to the point that it did.
And that they would, in spite of that... Now, I guess you break stories for the season before you get to film it, right? You kind of come up with the arc of the season at the beginning of the season. But I think after season 3, people knew that Chevy was a liability on set. It feels like a gamble to do this episode with him being who he is.
Yeah.
I almost wish they had found a way to do it and take Pierce out of it entirely. What did you think of the video footage of Pierce where he is in the panic room? Did it feel weird to you? Did it feel off?
Yeah, but I gave them the benefit of the doubt and just thought it as Pierce trying to pretend like nothing was weird, and that's why he was being so weird. But It could have also very well been that Chevy was just reading his lines and not putting anything into it. No sweat, Boba Fett.
The way Donald says "no sweat, Boba Fett" so quiet, I feel like I can hear his disdain for the joke in him saying it. Because they've done that so many times. It's run its
really
course.
Hate that one. You don't like that one.
I don't like it anymore. Like, it's funny the first couple of times, but
I think I say stuff like that in real life too much for it to bother me.
It's of a lesser sitcom to make that a bit that they say all the time.
Yeah.
That's like the type of joke that you'd see on a Target t-shirt with Sheldon's face on. You know what I mean? It's below this show. Obviously, it's not because they do it 150 times.
Yeah.
But I don't love it.
But it should be.
So Pierce is locked in panic room. He's acting weirdly not panicked about it. And again, Chevy's performance and the writing both don't do a very good job of setting up like the twists and turns in the episode. I don't look at Pierce with the knowledge of him having pulled all of these strings. I don't know. Like, if he's trying to build this haunted house just to scare these guys, wouldn't he be acting like he's scared as shit in the panic room?
Yeah.
But he's like, hey guys, lost the thing. Could you find the thing?
Can you find it?
Got some red water over here.
That was awful. That's one of the worst deliveries he has in the whole episode.
It is pretty bad. There's nothing really that bad with his delivery through most of it. It just feels like there's not a semblance of character to it at all to me.
Mm-hmm. No sale.
Another problem that I have with this episode, and I'm sorry just to harp on stuff, but I don't have as many positive things to say about it. This episode, like, repeats itself a lot because they have the big idea, but they don't have enough little ideas to keep the thing moving. It's kind of like if they had done Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas, and they were like, we're just going to do claymation. Let's just write it. We'll do it claymation. But instead, they built the whole world of the journey that they take, where here it's kind of like, well, there's some haunted house stuff going on. We know how it's going to end. So Jeff is going to be over here complaining about Pierce lying with Britta the whole time. Abed's going to be in a little room watching everybody the whole time. And we'll cut to each thing about 3 times. You know what I mean? There's a lot of sameness where I would have loved to have seen, honestly, the best parts are when they reveal like a new room in the mansion. I would have loved to have seen more rooms, or
because they do a cool job with the
secrets
sets for the
within the rooms. Maybe there could have been a funny storyline where, upon being suckered by Pierce's plan, they discover all of this gross stuff about Pierce just from being in his home. I think we could have like learned more about Pierce even if Pierce wasn't in it, you know, just by being in his house. I think
you also could have done something where like they go to Troy's old room or something and it's really funny, or Pierce has it set up a certain way.
I don't know. Or like the room where Pierce's mom died.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Like they don't go to Cornelius's room at all. Like there's so much stuff that could have been in there instead of other things.
Or I feel like they designed the house as if Pierce has always been the owner of this mansion. When he
Yeah.
lived here with his like plantation-ass father and mother, or maybe not. Actually, that's a good point because the parents were divorced, right?
I think his dad still lived there.
It's a little
well, maybe
you know what
not
I mean?
because there
Why
are 6
is the
houses.
house decorated like the 80s and not decorated like his parents had lived there and ran business?
But there's still
from this
pictures
home?
of his dad everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's his dad's house. And Jeff says something about him living with his parents. I don't know.
But while Pierce is giving all this information about getting locked in the room and losing the code, he also gives away that Jeff's right, he was lying, but he doesn't give the big lie yet. He says that he's been spooked because he thought he saw a ghost of his dad. And if I'm going to give Chevy anything in this episode, it's this moment. It's this moment because Pierce does end up being all of the ghost things other than Gilbert watching and while he sleeps. And Pierce does here at least sell that he saw a ghost of his dead dad for real, enough to be concerned. Not necessarily that there's a ghost, but like how Britta is, that something is going on with Pierce.
Something's going
that
on,
needs
yeah.
investigated. And then you like the
Aha!
joke at the aha. I kind of like the way that these shots are done where they're talking to the video screen that's kind of a fisheye lens sort of thing.
Yeah, but like not a super harsh fisheye.
Yeah, I like it. It's probably just him up to the camera, you know, but it's a cool effect. Jeff's ready to leave, but everyone else isn't really on his side. They're not going to let Pierce just stay locked in there. And it becomes another fight between Jeff and Annie about if she's naive or not. Jeff gets a bad ham joke. And they all go off to look for a solution to this issue while a ghostly figure is seen shadowing about.
Whoa! I want to take a second, Zach. I know it's early on in the episode for us still,
He said
but
an hour in.
yeah. But I want to thank our sponsors for today.
Yeah, sure.
Now, fitting that this is their name. I don't know if they're a fan of the show or what, Zach, but Big Ol' Ham Bones, Big Ol' Rattling Chains. Are you a ghost or ghoul who needs to rattle some chains? Come on down to Big Ol' Ham Bones, Big Ol' Rattling Chains.
Why would their name imply that they're a fan of our program?
Oh, because Britta's a big ol' ham bone, and big ol' ham bone's got some big ol' rattling chains. Zach, now you're a man who can be a bit ghostly sometimes in your movements and pigment
I've been
in the
known
winter.
to point that out about myself many times. Sure.
Do you ever need some chains to rattle around if you're, just walking around ghosting?
I do feel like my ghostliness doesn't spook people in the way that I want. I feel like it's not getting the aesthetical effect that I want, and it would be nice to have something that I could create constant noise with.
Well, and as a big city ghoul myself, especially around this time of year when people least expect it, that's when I like to go around just rattling some big old rattling chains. I find that if I'm in the supermarket or I'm in the alley behind the Arby's and I'm just going, whoa, and I'm shaking some chains, man, will I get a rise out of some people.
So please do give Big Ol' Hambone a call for all your rattling chains needs. But I would like to give a word of advice. Please do call ahead and do your order through curbside because I would you don't want to meet Big Hambone. He's a very frightening and violent man.
I'll just say this, Big Hambone is certainly not vaccinated, so please do curbside pickup. If you can, delivery through your local postal service.
And you'd think you don't have to, but you do have to specify that you'd like your order cough-free.
Yeah. That is not a coffee box to check.
No one
There's
thought
no
it
typo.
was.
Cough free is what you wanna click there.
Okay, so everybody splits up to look through the mansion. Sometimes we do those commercials and they're really funny, and sometimes they play themselves out about 20 seconds in, and here we are still going 3 minutes after we've started.
Whoa!
And not a second of it gets cut. We keep it all in on this program.
Big ol' ham bone.
So Jeff and the Big Ol' Hambone are one of the groups to split up. I could make a couple jokes about what seeing the beautiful Gillian Jacobs in a ham costume does for my meager old ham bone, but this is a
certainly
higher
rattles
brow
my
podcast
chains
than that.
Yeah.
Britta is looking to psychoanalyze Pierce in this whole situation. She's noticing all the weirdness of this mansion because it feels like metaphorically the ghosts of the people who lived here with Pierce are very much still here. It's like the home is dying around the still alive Pierce who still lives here.
Yeah. That's, it's really a beautiful sentiment, Zach. I think that they're really diving deep here into the psyche of their characters.
Okay.
I was just filling time, Zach, because there's really nothing. They got to the end of this conversation like 5 seconds in, so they're...
Okay. That's the funny thing about this episode is that, not funny thing, it's just so same, and all of they discover an area, they talk about daddy issues, we cut to Troy for a little bit. But here they come into Pierce's room. Even Pierce's room feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You could have done a little bit more. We could have had a rotating, like vibrating bed that
Yeah.
But instead there's like a couple lights. The portrait's cool. The weird fireplace thing is cool. But we're really supposed to believe that this, I don't know. When you think about how now Troy and Abed's apartment is a more permanent setting, but just how personalized that space is to those characters, I feel like they could have done a little bit more here.
Yeah, I agree. It's I get that they are just going to use this set once, so they didn't put as much into it, but it would have been nice to see them take the same amount of like, and I'm sure part of it's just they didn't have the budget to buy a whole new set, but you could have at least put in some stuff that would have been funny.
But when
some
his
little things.
budget before ever curbed Community's creativity?
Never.
I think that's one of the cruxes of a Dan Harmon free Community. I'm sure this Community was a lot easier of a show to work on. Maybe not so much for the writers, but for the production staff, for the actors. I'm sure the set designers weren't being like grilled to get everything just perfect.
Yeah.
And they were able to go home a little bit earlier, or whereas Dan Harmon probably wouldn't have stopped until every detail was filled, until everything, you know what I mean?
Well, and without Dan Harmon, you don't have that same authoritative voice to say that character wouldn't do that. Or this character would have this, because he created the characters. When the characters
can do anything, it's almost more limiting, because it's like, what would they do?
Sure.
So Pierce's room is kind of a hollow shell, much like the character has become. Something I will say that Season 4 is known for getting pretty right is Jeff's daddy issues. The episode that deals with it is a pretty good one, and one of the best... Pretty much the substantial thing to take away from this episode are the little moments where Jeff lets a little bit of that out.
Yes.
It's good to see him open up about it, and here he does it for a second unwillingly, without Britta really even prodding it out of him. It's becoming really clear that this has just been on Jeff's mind a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I appreciate that they're building off of, the end of Season 3 when he starts to look for his dad and...
Like we talked on the roundtable about how maybe OG Community didn't have as much of an overarching plan. It's clear that this Community did a little bit to where they're building to the big culmination of it, and they have to mention it a couple of times here and there. Community Season 4 with Dan Harmon might have just had an episode that was going to be the Jeff's Dad episode if they were going to do it. They wouldn't necessarily be mentioning it leading up to it.
I do really enjoy Britta's dancing in the ham costume, and she's like, "Ooh, so this is what."
When she crosses her hands, it's like a bam. I really like that visual. Gillian's so funny. And this is when the map starts coming into place. Is this the first time we see the map, or did we see it a second ago?
It's the first time, I think.
It's a cool idea. It's a cool graphic. It's very Community to do something like this, but there's no real point to it because we're not really tracking anything,
and the layout of the mansion doesn't really matter.
If it was like the ghostly we're supposed to keep eyes on where like the ghost is and how they're revolving around it, that would have made sense. But again, it's just Community Season 4 kind of being like, let's do a cute little, let's throw in a couple pillows and blankets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Annie and Abed, I like what the Jeff and Britta stuff does, but I think Annie Abed are a good pairing here too. I like the way that they explore the mansion together. I like that Abed is immediately just looking for all the Easter eggs in this place, and it doesn't take him very long to find that the wall moves. The bookcase is a revolving door that takes him away.
Yeah, I do like that. That's at least one little Scooby-Doo element of it.
That's pretty much the element and the thing that works the most. There's even a little fan servicey thing where you see the gnome from Remedial Chaos Theory was a bookend, and it has a cousin named Grot. But Abed pulls the right thing, which is one of the gnomes, and it takes him from one room to a security room behind the bookshelf. And it totally freaks out Annie because to her, much like in a Scooby-Doo type thing, Abed's totally disappeared. This is why I say I think their pairing might be my favorite, because I think they have the elements that are closest to what the best version of this episode would have been. Mm-hmm. Abed finding the secret control room is pretty cool. The thing that I don't like, though, they season 4 it, by then Abed just sits there the rest of the episode. There's no sense of... another episode would have let him pull the strings in a way. Like, maybe he could have caught up to what Pierce is doing, and he could use the control room
doing it better,
to make to do it better. Yeah. You know what I mean? Instead, he just gets to be there and make a couple sarcastic comments throughout the episode. Mm-hmm. I do also like Annie's scared girl act, that she doesn't really... she's not up on horror movies. She doesn't really get what's going on. The one thing that happens... Does it happen here?
Is it at the very end where she says that line?
No, and it's not even the line. Okay, she fixes a flashing light bulb. That's cool. We even get an explanation for why the light bulbs might be wobbly at the end of the episode. My question is, here in a second, is this where she sees the ghost of Pierce's father?
Yes.
And taking into context why everything else happens in the episode, what the is going on there? Is she
no clue.
Seeing that?
Is
there
imagining
something physically there?
I think she's just imagining it, but it's not.
Is this
my
where it
favorite
happens?
thing.
I think it's about to happen. She scares herself with her own reflection first, but then when she looks back up in the mirror, there's the jump scare. I have to tell you, Lily jumped when that happened. Lily really got scared.
Are you serious?
And I looked at them and was like, did you really just get scared?
But like, it was so clear that was about to happen.
Also, did they...
That was not the same Cornelius.
They didn't have the actor come back just to do that?
No, that looks like some totally different young guy with the wig on.
I didn't pay that close attention to the thing. And
my biggest issue was this line.
This line. She gives an awful line. I hate reference humor. What's the reference? What's the reference? How is it humor? Now is Annie saying that they're in a show and she hates that they're doing a jump scare because they're referencing jump scares? Is she Abed now? Does she get to see all this stuff? Or is the reference that Pierce's dad is there? What, Steven, make it make sense for me, please.
What I took it as her trying to say was that it's referencing how in every scary movie there's nothing in the mirror. Well, used to be there was just something in the mirror, but now there's nothing in the mirror, and then there's something in the mirror, or there's nothing in the mirror, then there's nothing in the mirror, then the character leaves and there was something the whole time.
So the joke is that she thinks something's being done to her. I don't know. That line was stupid. That's
not great.
One of the most infamous lines from the history of season 4 of Community is there's a part where Abed says, "We just made paintball cool again." And saying something like that, ensures that it's not gonna be cool. Mm-hmm. And that's what this feels like. It's just like,
yeah.
There's a difference between being meta and being like, aren't we so meta? Mm-hmm. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with Annie. I might hate the reference humor, too. Meanwhile, Shirley and Troy are also searching a different wing of the house to find the code to get to Pierce. And they realize that they've been looping and going in circles, which Troy knows the mansion, right?
Yeah, but he said he spends less time in the library. It's because he doesn't know where the
library is, sure.
But, which is like a fine joke, but if he memorized the date that the panic room was bought, I feel like he'd remember where the freaking library is.
I've got to say, I'm pretty sure this is my least favorite scene of the episode.
This one's not great.
The Troy and Shirley dynamic, it's going to dive more into Shirley really treating Troy like a kid in a way that doesn't really make sense for either of their characters and how they've acted before. And then the sex swing thing is kind of this episode's fountain scene, like last week, where it's a setup that should be funny, it's supposed to be funny, but instead it's not, and it's just really cringy to watch.
I'm gonna
these
say, though,
super funny people. You think it's funny?
No, I don't think I've ever laughed at a sex swing in a sitcom.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's been done
even
before,
when
like,
I liked How I Met Your Mother, that was never like those were never the funniest parts of that show. That's true. I just think this scene is so unfunny because Troy is like smiling absentmindedly swinging on it.
Yeah, the only part about it that's kind of funny is when the door opens and Shirley goes Sodom and Gomorrah. That's kind of funny.
But Troy's smile isn't funny. It doesn't,
like, it's obviously not a playground swing. Troy's not stupid.
He's not a child. He would be able to pick up that this is a weird sex room and be grossed out about it.
Troy talks about butt stuff all the time. He told me he doesn't know what, like, S&M is.
Thank you. They could have thank you. They could have done well, I don't know, but on the other hand, I think Troy's interest in butt stuff is also very childish. I don't know how much he's actually done because he's always like, is there butt stuff? Could there be? I think he's just interested in maybe trying it sometime. I don't buy that Troy wouldn't know that any of this was sex related, and they could have done a funny scene of them discovering all of Pierce's gross sex stuff.
Yeah, like that could have been Troy's room, and he's like, oh, let me just go look at my room, and then it's like a sex place now, even though Pierce doesn't use it.
I have it on account that they did not purchase the chain for the sex swing from Big Ham Bones, Big Old Rattlers, or whatever it was called. So that's a
big old ham bones, big old rattling chains. Come on down.
The secret dogs line, really stupid.
Yeah.
And then the interaction that they have afterwards, it's just the writing's not great. The conversations aren't great. Forget that you saw that and that I knew what it was. And then throughout the rest of the episode when Troy's kind of like, huh? What was with the thing? It's childish. And it's like something out of like a Nickelodeon sitcom or something.
It absolutely is. The one thing I will say is kind of funny is Troy's delivery. He's like, I don't know what to Google. And that's it. Just those few words.
I also don't like how with now 2 episodes in a row, I don't like the way Shirley's talking about Britta. Mm-hmm. And that there's never like a call out to her like, why are you judging Britta like this? Maybe she cares about Troy just as much as we all do, and probably more because they're dating, and she wants to protect him just as much as everyone else. And why can't she be worth protecting? But she's a modern woman with experienced tastes.
Yeah, I see kind of Shirley being like matronly, being like, Britta's kind of wild into some stuff, and Troy, you're a sweet innocent boy.
I just don't think I like the way it's portrayed.
Sure.
You don't think what?
Well, I don't think that Shirley would be, because Shirley and Britta are friends, and I don't think that Shirley thinks so poorly of her that she wouldn't want her to be happy and be with Troy.
Or if they're such good friends, that Shirley wouldn't go to Britta and say like, hey, Troy doesn't seem like he's done a lot with people or has had a serious relationship. I'm really concerned about him, and I just want to make sure you're in it for the right reason.
Yeah.
That would have been better than like, it makes Shirley... Now, I'm not the one to speak on this, but it almost makes Shirley seem like counter-feminist a little bit. It seems like she's kind of like ganging up on the other girl behind her back. I don't know.
I see that, yeah.
Do you think that at all? Am I stupid?
I don't know that I'd go so far to
that
call
Shirley's
it
like an
counter-feminist,
instigator
but I
against
think
the other women.
Now, against the other women, or just against Troy and Britta being together?
In this instance, against Britta.
Yeah.
But I think it paints a picture of a potentially bad habit from Shirley.
Maybe, but I don't think she would have been that way if Annie were with Troy.
Okay, so I see what you mean. It's just that she has a bad idea of Britta.
Yeah.
Okay. But the way that she said, it's almost more the delivery of the line, like, well, she's a modern woman, as if saying that being a modern woman is a bad thing and that what she is different and better.
I think she was trying to say, in her words,
yes,
Britta has been around a little bit.
Yes.
Quotations. And so just, be careful. And now, not that that's a
but she
okay
doesn't
thing
say
for her
that.
to say.
And what she says, I think, sounds worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't disagree that it doesn't sound good, but I think in Shirley's mind, she's trying to make it sound better than saying, hey, your girlfriend is a lot more experienced in these things than you. Just keep an eye out and make sure that whatever.
You know what I think is an issue of the episode is that we are having so much to say about stuff like that and there aren't more haunted house things to marvel at.
There's like 2 haunted house things in the whole thing, and like most of them are accidents.
The haunted house feels like an afterthought, while at the same time, that's what the draw of the episode is.
I forgot on a regular basis when watching this that it was actually a haunted house going on.
And you still
like
it better than the season 3 one?
I do.
What's so wrong with the season 3 one? There's so many funny bits.
I just don't find it funny, I think, is the issue.
I feel like if we watched a totally unedited live stream of you watching that episode and watching this episode, you would laugh more on that one.
Maybe we just need to try that someday. Watch the episode this week.
It's gonna be the next podcast when we finish this one.
It's just gonna be a camera of my face.
All they can think of is to do like the jiggling of a door handle. They could have made that the scare, but there should have been like a sense before then that there might be a ghostly presence following them specifically. They should have like seen a weird thing, and then the door starts jiggling, and then it's Annie.
'Cause it doesn't matter if there's a ghost if only the audience sees the ghost. The few times that we get a glimpse of like the shadowy figure, we're the only ones that see it.
Other than Annie getting scared, but they don't even roll with that.
Yeah, because that's not even the actual ghost.
Then meanwhile, Abed, he almost seems like in like a medicated, like...
Yeah.
Just kind of like he was in the last episode, too. It feels... Some weird stuff's going on with Abed this season. And it's not intentional, I don't think. And I think it's to the detriment of the show because Danny's performance of Abed is really like the heart of Community a lot of the time. And he spends this episode just sitting around watching Cougar Town and security footage. He has no part in the storyline at all, and he should be all over this type of thing.
Yeah, this is not the best part either.
And then we're back to the sameness. We're back to Britta and Jeff continuing the same conversation because they need to stretch it out until the conclusion instead of filling the time with haunted house mannerisms or haunted housey and things happening or a mystery being built for the episode.
Because we're over halfway through the episode, and everything that's going to happen, with the exception of like 2 closing points in the whole episode, have happened. So it's a lot of just circling for the next 6 minutes or so.
It's pretty much just waiting until it's time for them to get where Pierce is. Mm-hmm. And I have issues with what they filled that time with just kind of sitcom-iness instead of homage. These could have been the issues at the center of each character's storyline, but there should have been more episode-specific stuff going on. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying that 1,000 times, but I think that's one of the big points of this episode now that I'm really paying attention to it. That's why it doesn't feel like a special episode in the way that even I think the season 3 episode does, because it wants to be an episode about Jeff needing to come to terms with how he has daddy issues, and it wants to be an episode about Troy being childish when it comes to sex, and it kind of wants to be an episode about Pierce's state of living now that his dad's dead, but it doesn't want to be a Halloween episode hardly.
No, you kind of forget that Halloween is going on. They just happen to be in costumes.
Jeff does reveal to Britta, like, as Britta's really poking the bear and making Jeff like, oh, I don't need a dad at all. If I needed a dad, and he reveals to her, why would I have had his number for 3 weeks and I haven't said anything, which pretty much
Why
says
does he have the number on a piece of paper tucked into his boxing shorts? Not in a pocket, just like tucked in the crotch of his shorts.
Well, you can look at it that way if you want, but I think it works. I feel like Jeff... So at the end of season 3, he Googled his dad. Mm-hmm. I think Jeff was kind of hoping he like found some stuff, but not enough to make any contact. And now that he's got this contact, it's just like on his mind all the time. Like, when is he gonna call? Is he gonna call? What is he supposed to say? Should he be the one initiating it? I think I get it.
Okay, is that gonna paint you a picture?
I know, Steven.
You're getting ready to go to a Halloween party. You're wearing a boxer's outfit.
Let me make
Probably
sure.
has
I got my
pockets
wallet,
in the shorts.
I got my keys. Do I got the little piece of paper with my dad?
You have to have
talked to in 8 years phone number written
My
down
issue
on
is not him having it. It's him having it just by itself tucked in the crotch of his pants. It's in the front waistband, not the pocket. Where's his phone? Where's his wallet? Where are his keys? Put it with them. Put it in your wallet. Cover your knees up if you're going to be walking around with them out there all the time.
Counterpoint. Joel McHale looks great.
Yeah, fair enough. You got me there, Zach.
Also, Abed's line.
No.
He pauses Jeff and Britta fighting about Jeff's dad and says, I remember when this show was about a community college. And that's such a weird moment to put that joke. Like, if Abed had done this when they were, like, yelling over a ghost or something, that would have been like, I remember when the show was about a community college. I don't know. What they're yelling about could just as easily happen in the cafeteria of the college.
Yeah. And then he, just rewinds the footage?
Then all of a sudden he's watching footage of Pierce in bed last night. Or a night before. That is strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he notices that there's been a shadowy figure watching Pierce as he sleeps. You know what I think would have been a better structure to this episode is before this point, we should have known that Pierce is pulling all of these strings for sure.
Yeah.
So then it's like, but wait, what is this then? Mm-hmm. Instead, we don't know what either of them are, so you kind of assume they're connected.
I agree.
Whereas we could have had like a Pierce is pretending to do a haunted house, but maybe the house is actually haunted by like his dead dad. Mm-hmm. But then no, it isn't. It's just Gilbert. Instead, it's like maybe there's a ghost. Maybe there are all of these other things going on, and then no, it's not going on, and here's all the reasons why. You know, there could have been a little more entry. I will give season 4 this though. It was an earned cool at the very least.
Yeah,
it's a cool discovery for Abed to find. Meanwhile, Britta is chasing Jeff in the ham costume just to do some therapy and do some daddy issue work, and it's a funny visual. The ham costume was just a good choice.
It's great.
Help me heal your heart hole as she bangs on the door. And then Jeff finds himself alone in like kind of like a study.
Yeah.
Like maybe Pierce, this might be like a room of Pierce's dad's. And he finds a bunch of amber liquids and he kind of has a man moment to himself. And as he's drinking and cheersing to the asshole that Cornelius is, he stumbles upon the little red book that has the code 1989, 1989.
What a year.
So
Do the Right Thing came out in 1989.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like sometime around the end of June.
I would have probably built a panic room too if I was in that scenario.
That's fair.
It's like Y2K again.
Mm-hmm.
Or before.
Before, yeah.
Yeah. The finding of the book ended up not even being a big deal.
No.
Jeff just like walked into a room and was like, there it is.
To be fair, Pierce said it was in his bedroom or in his study. Which
and
I feel like Troy should have been like, okay, let's go to the bedroom and the study.
Let's go to the library.
Yeah.
I think for this episode, maybe Clue would have worked better than Haunted House. Maybe they could have had a few other characters in the mix and someone dies.
Or like they could have had a few characters and like somebody locked Pierce in a room or something and they were trying to find which one of them locked Pierce in there to let him out. But who are we?
Who are we? What are the new showrunner names? We're no Port and Garcia, are we?
There we go.
Sure aren't.
Also, Jeff has the code now, so why wouldn't he just go let Pierce out so they could leave?
Yeah. It's because nobody really cares about that, Steven.
Oh.
Even though that's the plot, that's not the point anymore, I guess.
It's not far enough in the episode yet.
Yeah, we gotta wait till the next commercial break to do that. Okay, so this happens. Jeff is locked in this room, this study, and everything starts to like shake. And the picture of Pierce's dad like expands and gets all ghostly. How is Pierce doing this? When they explain it later and they show him doing things, did they show that?
No. I don't think so. And if they did, I missed it because it didn't make sense.
There could have been more potential with like Jeff being the non-believer in ghosts of the group and him being the one like what they're doing here is like he finally gets scared, but I feel like they could have done more with it to make it a little spookier. But Jeff and Annie take off to find the rest of the group who also aren't really worried about what's going on. And meanwhile, behind Troy, this is one of the cooler effects of the episode, even if there's not much of a point to it. I just think it looks cool. Troy's standing in front of a wall that becomes like the handprints are coming through the wall, like the wall is jelly. I don't think it adds that much to the episode, but I think it's a cool look. Why? Why do you think so of me?
I just think it's not the best done.
You just don't think it looks good?
Yeah.
It does kind of look like, and it probably is, it looks like Troy's just standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
And I like Troy's lines, like, while he's waiting to realize what's behind him. That was funny, too.
Mm-hmm.
Another funny joke could have been, like, if Pierce wasn't doing all of this, and that was just him trying to, like, get out.
Get out, yeah. Pierce he accidentally created a haunted house because his mansion's just so weird. That'd be great.
Now the group is all together, and they're all screaming, they're all scared, and they're running together to get out Pierce. This is coming to a head, and it still just feels like a letdown. I feel like it's missing so much of the scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there should have been more, like, they're as a group, and they, like, every corner they turn is, like, another nightmare, but it's not. It's just the same hallway again.
Yeah.
So they bring up the panic room screen to question Pierce, and it looks like he's dead. They think he's dead. He got killed by a ghost. Meanwhile, Troy's really upset about the remote breaking. That's funny. But now they're like yelling. They think their friend's dead. They're yelling at the screen. They're not just instantly typing in the code. And
Jeff
going
has
in
the code.
Door. Well, and they do it here, but they sure do take their time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes seconds are what keeps someone from dying.
Yeah.
They walk in and Pierce isn't there, but he is, and he's fine, and he explains to them what he's doing. I thought the way that Chevy delivered the line right here, when he's like, bet you didn't expect me to, and he points at each of them, make a haunted house against you guys.
Yeah.
Not great.
Mm-mm.
Then Abed shows up, and everyone realizes Abed had been gone the whole time, and he explains what's going on, and Jeff gives that awful line.
Yikes.
Abed Nadir with the late report. Oh my god. But Abed shows up with more information. He has the video of Pierce doing all of the things.
Oh, okay. So Pierce was dressed, supposed to be. That wasn't Chevy in that actual clip, though.
It was a picture being distorted.
I'm talking about him in the mirror.
In the mirror. I see now. He made that cut in the wall where you can stick stuff through it. They said in the commentary that when they had to film all of those little scenes with Chevy, that he didn't know what the was going on. So after, they would be like, you're trying to do a haunted house and you're trying to give him a scare. And after a while, they're like, just put your hands through the thing, Chevy, and move him around. Just put your hands in the thing and just do it. But Abed brings up the shadowy figure and how that was probably the most impressive part of the thing. I like his line when he comments on the performance and is like, is he sad?
Is he sad?
And then Pierce really freaks out, but doesn't really because Chevy isn't a good actor, and says, I didn't hire anyone, so now they're all locked in the thing. There might be a ghost. There might be a ghost, Steven. Are you spooked? Are you scared? I didn't like Annie's line. You might have forgotten that you asked someone to help on your thing. It's Nickelodeon stuff. It is.
Yeah. I did like the LeVar Burton was a hard no, because that means he asked him.
And you know what, Steven? I always say I don't want to be a negative Nelly on these Season 4 episodes, but it's not turning out so well so far. I don't like that line either, because it's just a joke that they've done before. They've already done LeVar Burton was a maybe, and they've had LeVar Burton on the show. We get it. I don't know. It's a rehash.
Reading Rainbow.
If they'd thrown in a paintball, it would have been an A episode.
Reading Rainbow.
Pierce thinks I like it that Pierce is like, I've used my father's name to make a point, and now his ghost is here to haunt me and probably butcher you guys for going along with it. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, Shirley, she wants to go to the party. Her babysitter's keeping her there too long. Everyone's kind of over it. They think Pierce is just messing with them again. Pierce and Jeff get into like a physical struggle.
Let me talk about this second. Oh my gosh, it's so bad because they do. Pierce and Jeff start to get in a physical struggle over leaving the room. So first it's Shirley talking to Pierce angrily with Jeff and Troy on each shoulder. Then Pierce and Jeff get in this little squabble, and then it immediately cuts back to Jeff standing where he was standing just before. Look, they're fighting, they cut to the button, and then now, in a second, he's right back where he was, behind
and
Shirley's
Pierce is,
shoulder.
like, in the middle of the group.
Yeah,
Good
it's
grief.
bad continuity. But the hatch is coming unlocked, and it's about to be revealed who this hidden specter has been the whole time. And the big surprise reveal is, like everything else, something that they've done before. It's Gilbert. And he pretty plaintively, and also what a waste of Giancarlo, Gian, Giancarlo Esposito. What a waste of him. He comes in, he explains, I'm not a ghost. I miss working for Pierce's dad. We're brothers. It's like the same ending as the last episode.
Yeah, also, let's not have the... This is one of my biggest issues.
Black character.
Let's not have the goddamn person of color be like, I'm so sad I can't be a servant to nobody no more. I guess I better come here and work for Pierce in secret. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, and then Pierce is like, you're my brother.
God.
You can work for me, not in
That's
secret.
f***ing awful.
Back out to the gardens with you.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really not great.
Yeah. And like him saying like, not having I don't know, there are aspects of it that track, but if you do, it's clear that they have not put much thought into Gilbert as a character, that they're willing to make his whole sense of being to work. I don't know. Then they try to give Chevy like a moment at the end of the episode, a sweet moment with Gilbert, a brotherly moment, and Chevy all of a sudden kind of like wakes up and doesn't deliver it too terribly, but it feels like, I don't know, the wrong conclusion to an episode that took the wrong path to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody leaves to go to the party except for Pierce. I do like Pierce saying, tell Vicky I said Happy Halloween. That'll mess with her. Shirley makes another mask joke about the sex masks. I don't know. It's just all... Now they've filled the time, so it's time for the episode to end, and everybody leaves. Britta and Troy, what do you think of the broy, the Tritta moment at the end of the episode where Troy thinks Britta is insinuating sex, but she's just insinuating Inspector Spacetime?
Now, and this is gonna cut into next week's episode a little bit.
Okay.
Because I have a little bit to say here.
You're done with the Inspector Spacetime? Me too.
Been done. But it's sweet that she wants to go do something with Troy. I think it's weird that he gets so freaked out about the idea of having sex with Britta, especially because the next episode they start in bed together with Troy's shirt off.
Oh, have you watched the next one recently?
It just started when I was like doing something when the episode ended one time, and I was like, then why the fuck?
I know. It's like Britta is so beautiful. Let Troy want to have sex with her.
They're clearly attracted. Like, they started dating. Clearly something happened. They weren't just like,
attracted to
hey,
each other
want to be boyfriend and girlfriend?
And
they were like,
to each other for a long time, and they'd been building that up. I wish you guys could have seen the arm movement that accompanied Steven going, want to be boyfriend and girlfriend?
Just how I asked you back in the day, Zach, to a resounding...
And I said, yeah. But there was a lot more sex. Just let Troy and Britta each other.
Yeah.
In the next episode they do. So what was the point of doing all this, protect his youth, if it wasn't going to be like a actual plot point?
Like, here's the thing. Britta and Jeff have slept together several times. So it's not like you can't have, like, these characters are so holy that they can't have sex.
It's not this show is. They literally did a bit
Annie
in one
has
episode
had boyfriends she's
where
been
they
with
all looked at
intimately.
each other and decided that they could all be attracted to any of them at any time.
Yeah, it's above me, Zach. I don't know why the hell.
Jeff and Britta kind of apologize to each other. Jeff isn't going to the party either because he's too cool. I didn't really like the line about the party. It took me a second for it to make sense. The line, Vicky is bringing dry ice and gave Leonard the wrong address. They're not connected. It's just two things.
Not at all.
Dry ice is spooky and Leonard isn't going to be there. But it's still it was a weird line for me.
Yeah. Also, everyone loves Leonard, who's not Jeff, so...
Yeah, I guess that's true. But Jeff's not going. He makes it seem like he's too cool, but we'll see in a second what's really going on. He has some unfinished business at home. They all leave together, some to go to the party, some not to. Pierce, again, is just not a factor in this at all. He was like, all right, well, bye, guys.
He said, bye, guys. I'm going to go hang out with my black servant brother.
filmed this segment of the episode on another day, so Chevy wasn't there.
I also have a question, Zach. What do you feel? I mean, we get the reveal in a second that the boxing gloves that Jeff's been carrying around were his old man's. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's stupid, or is that, does that touch your heart?
What I think season 4 gets right is heart.
Mm-hmm.
It lets Community be a little bit sappier and huggier, even though it would be sometimes, but a little bit more sweet than Dan Harmon was willing to let the show get. And especially after this season, it's something we don't get very much at all. So
Yeah.
I don't think I mind it. It's a little ham-fisted, sure. It's a little easy of a plot point. But it's also kind of cool that this has been a build. Jeff was a boxer for a reason. I don't know that he's been carrying them around the whole episode, and we're just now quietly realizing what they were the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the worst thing.
I
about
agree.
This episode.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me you didn't like it.
No, I had no issue with it.
It's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But
I didn't
there's
cry.
so much other dad stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't cry?
I didn't cry.
I just see Steven watching this episode. Oh my god, it's the boxing gloves. Yeah,
That's why he
his
was
dad's name must start with a W. Yeah, it was a nice moment, but the nicer moment is that Jeff has a quiet drink to himself, takes a deep breath, and contemplates calling his dad. And then we'll get a resolution to this in like 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fine enough point to end the episode on, but I think
You know what? I owe Jeffrey Winger an apology. He had his phone tucked into his waistband as well.
I think it kind of proves my point that because this is how we're ending what's supposed to be the haunted house episode, that they didn't really want to do a Halloween episode. They didn't really want this to be a super cool haunted house episode. It was
it wasn't, so they got their wish.
Yeah, they sure did.
Well done.
And is that the end of the episode before the end tag? Is that it?
Yeah, he's dialing the number. Hello, Daddy?
Maybe we should end this week's episode of the podcast with a wistful moment where we dial Matt from Community on the phone.
He would never give us his phone number.
Answers.
Do we have him on Zoom?
He didn't give it to us. I found it.
Can we call through Twitter? Is that a thing?
We should arrange like a Maury DNA test type situation and Skype or Zoom call him without him knowing that we're going to, and all of a sudden he's just a part of it.
Like, Matt, we've collected samples of your DNA over the last couple of weeks, and boy, are the results in, and will they shock someone? Let's find out
Everyone,
next.
it's time to play You Can't Disappoint a Podcast's favorite game. Does the semen match? The answer is no.
The answer is normally no.
It doesn't match biologically, and it also ended up not being his at all.
Mm-mm.
Anyway,
Not
the
the
end
right
tag.
color either.
The end tag was on the right track
Yes, it was.
to do the revolving door thing. I even like that Pierce got to be a part of it and say hijinks. I thought that was kind of funny.
I will say this is very much one of those times where I'm seeing Troy as Donald Glover, not as Troy.
It's just,
in
I
his
think
way.
it's the hair.
Yeah.
I saw like a little clip of the mixology certification episode when Troy and Annie are talking outside of Annie's apartment. And even though that was just 2 seasons ago, both Allison Brie and Dawn look so much like younger and I don't know, interesting.
Did you just call him Don?
Hijinks. What?
Did you call him Don?
I don't think so.
Don Glover.
Don
Donnie
Glover.
G.
Dong Lover. Don Glover.
Glover.
Dong Lover. You've never heard that
Nice.
before? That
I
used to
have.
be
It's
his
been
handle.
years. Thank you, Bart Simpson.
This was on the right track, this end tag. But like the tall Troy and Abed thing didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, me neither. I wish, like, if it were its own thing that they did sometime, that'd be funny.
Sure.
Because, like, it'd be funny for them to go to a movie like that, then order 2 tickets. Like, that would be a funny Troy and Abed thing for them to do.
I agree.
There's no reason for it to happen here. It's not connected.
I agree. Well, Steven, that's the end of the episode.
What a great note to end on.
What a great note to end on. It's okay that you don't like the season 3 Halloween episode that much.
This
but
one's
you
not
are
good, though.
So wrong to say that this one is better. It's not a terrible episode of Community. I will say I've been ranking all of the episodes best to worst, and they're are a couple of so History 101 is at the bottom, the very bottom for me.
Wowza.
Paranormal Parentage beat out a couple of original 3-season episodes, but not very many. Just like 3 or 2. It's pretty low for me just because I would always pick to watch any other episode before this episode, I think.
That's fair. It's not a super fun watch.
There's nothing super memorable about it. There's not that much that's so funny to come back to. But we've delved on that enough. Who's your MVP?
Honorable mention to Annie. Honorable mention to Troy. I'm going to give an honorable mention to Jeff, too, because he has some good stuff, but he also has some jokes that are just kind of unforgivable.
Yeah.
In terms of them not being funny. Britta's my MVP this week. She was the funniest character consistently. Ham costume's great. I liked all the therapy stuff she was doing. It's funny, and nobody was too mean to her when she was doing it.
Yeah, it's Britta for me, too, pretty handily. She makes me laugh more than anybody else, bar maybe Troy, but Troy has enough stuff that I don't like that I can't give it to him. I think the only thing that's missing for me with Britta is that she be a little bit more actively involved in the idea that she's too worldly for Troy. I think it's weird that she's totally missing from that, but she's really funny in this one. The ham costume's classic. It's one of my favorite costumes of the entire series, and the series has had a lot of great costumes, so it's easily Britta. But I'll also give my honorable mention to Jeff. I think you do have to not give it to him because he is actively, like, just there to be, I don't want to do this. I don't trust Pierce for like 2/3 of the episode. And then he has a couple nice moments at the end. Britta's involved in that storyline and still comes out looking pretty well. So I'm gonna give it to Britta. And that's it for the week. We did it. 2 down, 11 to go. And season 5 is starting to sound real sweet. Isn't it?
That's all, folks.
I'm excited for seasons 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Just because, look, season 4 isn't offensively bad. This episode isn't offensively bad. It's just okay. It's just that compared to the community that we're used to recapping like this,
you remember season 2, Zach?
This isn't as fun, is it?
I remember.
But then again, during season 2, we were like, it's not fun just to like everything. So maybe we just are bad at this and it's not fun.
I've had fun every single day.
I love it.
That I have not had to do this show with you, Zach. And I've had fun a couple of the ones that I have, too.
No, I love it. I love that we do this. It's one of my favorite things I got going. I love that people are listening to it. Let's wrap it up. Next week is another stinker of an episode. Next week, we're talking about conventions of time and space, the Inspector Spacetime episode.
I know neither of us have watched this episode in a little while.
Yeah, a long time.
Do you hate it? Do you dislike it more than you dislike History 101?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's been a lot longer since I've seen this one, so I could be surprised.
Yeah, I remember not liking this one tiddly bit.
I remember even when season 4 first aired, and I was really I was so optimistic, I was so predisposed to like it, even if it was bad, to where I think History 101 and this one, I was like, those are okay, whatever, okay. I didn't like History 101 that much, but I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I remember next week's just being boring. So that'll be fun, guys. Write us in your trivia, your favorite funny moment, and your episode MVP for Conventions of Time and Space. It's going to be a doozy. I'm looking forward to diving into it. can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. Send that shit in. Also, if you like what we do here, want to get all of the extra stuff that we do here, and you want to see whatever might be coming next for us as we start to close the gap towards the end of community, Patreon is the way to do it. You can support us over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast for a whole lot more of me and Steven. And you get this podcast early every week, along with all kinds of other projects we've got going on. And you get to, I don't know, help be a little part of the show, which is cool. Steven, where can the people find us?
If you want to get at us elsewhere other than Patreon and our Gmail account,
you can deliver this postcard to Taylor. I have a freshly written postcard for patron Taylor. If you join the $10 tier, you get a handwritten community-themed postcard. This is actually kind of fitting for this week's episode. It's the one I'm sending him is a little. You guys won't be able to see it, but it's a design of Troy and Abed in kind of a Calvin and Hobbes style.
Oh, that's great.
So that's going to be going out to our newest $10 patron Taylor. So if you want one of these, there's a lot of cool ones. Hit us up.
Yeah, if you want to get in on the action with us as well, you can find us over on Twitter, over at You Can't Disapod. We're on Instagram at Can't Disappoint Podcast. And then we are on YouTube and Facebook under the name of the show, You Can't Disappoint a Podcast.
It's been
Hit
fun.
us up, DM us, like our tweets, tweet at us,
stalk us,
quote us,
find us,
reply,
hurt us, catfish
and
us.
just smash that like button and go ahead and click the bell if you want to get notified for new videos.
Bell, give us that thumbs up.
Comment down below.
This has been really fun. I love doing this, guys. Find your home safe. Thanks for dialing that dial to the Can't Disappoint a Podcast channel. Your support means the world. I don't know. I'm just trying to end this thing.
Whoa!
It does mean a lot. We do love you guys. And now the podcast is over. So from inside the Dreamatorium, Black Lives Matter. They don't just have to work for old rich white men. I'm Zach.
I'm Steven. Also special thanks to our sponsors today, Act Trivia and Big Ol' Ham Bones, Big Old Rattlin' Chains.
Meet us at that Rite Aid. Get yourself some spiders to crunch on. We'll see you all next week. We love you very much. What are your final words for the people?
Whoa.
Spooky.
You're not fooling me, 'cause I can see the way you shake and shiver. You know we got a mystery to solve, so Scooby-Doo, be ready for your act. Don't hold back.